Hi there, it's Mark Wickham here, and in this video I'm going to share with you some thoughts for pricing your service of acting as a registered office for corporate clients. And what I'm going to share with you is a really powerful idea that will generate significantly bigger fees for you. Now, a little while ago I carried out the largest pricing survey amongst UK accountants in 2014. And let me start by sharing with you the results from that survey. On page 23, I asked the question, how do you price for acting as a company's registered office? And it was interesting that 19% of the firms in the survey, and there were 750 firms in the survey, didn't even offer that as a service. 22% offer it, but don't usually charge. 27% offer it and include it, and yet only 32%, about a third, offer it and charge a separate fee. Now, those that do include it, I would argue that what they're doing effectively is bundling in for free. And whilst you can do that, I think there's an opportunity to charge a reasonable fee here. So let's look at what those 32% are doing, because what I then asked is I asked the 32% that charge a fee, how much do they charge? So let's look at the results. So here are the results of those firms that charge a separate fee. And as you can see, there is a huge range of prices from, at one end, one firm, the firm that charges the cheapest price, charges £10 per year for acting as the company's registered office. 25% of the firms in the survey, the bottom 25%, charge £60 a year or less. The average price, or median price to be exact, is £100. So 50% of firms charge £100 or less. The next quartile charge between £100 and £125. But look at the next quartile. The top 25% charge between £125 and £480. With £480 being the highest fee that someone charges. So given that 32%, a third of the firms in the survey charge a fee, most don't, but those that do, of the 32% that do charge a fee, half of them charge £100 or less, and yet somebody charges £480. How do you charge a fee of £480? What's that firm doing different that we can learn? Well, what they're doing is something very, very simple and yet very, very clever. So let me show you how they do it. I asked the accountant who charges £480 how he does that. His name's Jonathan, and he's the managing partner of Switch Accounting in Southampton and Portsmouth. And they charge much higher fees because of one very clever thing they do. They charge £40 per month for being the registered office, because, as Jonathan says, this is the same as what a client would pay someone like Mailboxes, etc., to have a high street address and mail forwarding service. Now let me share with you exactly what Jonathan means by that. So one of the interesting things about pricing is that behavioural economists have proven that as human beings we are clueless when it comes to price. We don't know the price of anything. After all, the price is an arbitrary number. But what we are good at is looking at how much things cost compared with something else. We look for clues in the marketplace. We look to compare with other things to see whether the price is reasonable or not. Because without those other things to compare against, we don't know what the price is. We have no idea what the right figure is. Just think about when someone launches something brand new into the marketplace, something that's completely unique, first time it's been launched. We don't know what the price should be. We don't know. And so we look for those clues. And it's the same with your clients and acting as a registered office. They have no idea what it entails, what it's worth, unless, of course, they've been a client of a previous accounting firm and have had that service before. But if they haven't, they don't know what it's worth. So it's up to you as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a pricer, to manage expectations and to use techniques and give the clients clues so that your price seems reasonable. And that's exactly what Jonathan does in his accounting firm. So let me share with you now what it is that Mailboxes does. So this is the website for Mailboxes, etc. It's www.mbe.co.uk. I would suggest you go to that and have a look. And one of the services that they offer is that you can rent a mailbox. That's for somebody who doesn't want to use their personal address, for example. Perhaps they don't have business premises and they run their business from home and they don't want to put their home address on public record. So what they would do is use a company like Mailboxes, etc., and they would rent a mailbox. Now, of course, you may have come across using a PO box, and you could do that. And here's the Royal Mail's website for having a PO box. And we can see, as we look through the post office website, the cost of having a PO box, and it ranges between about £250 and £350, depending on the level of service that you want. And what Mailboxes does is something very, very similar, as you can see from here. So I've put in looking for a Leeds address. What would it cost if I wanted to have a Leeds address as my address on public record? And we can see that through Mailboxes, etc., you can rent a mailbox, and with the business one, it works out at £324 a year, £27 per calendar month. It's actually a bit more if we go for the Premier version. It's up to £38 per calendar month, £456. Not only that, there are optional extras as well. So if you look down the optional extras, you can see that they actually offer registered company address at £35 per year in addition. So if a company wanted to use Mailboxes, etc., to act as their registered office, it would cost them at least £324 plus £35. It would cost them at least £379, and more if they go for the Premier option. And there are other businesses that offer this solution. So if you were to type in mailbox rental, here's another one. This one's called low-cost letterbox. This is a little bit cheaper, and as you scroll down you can see business mailbox rental. It's £22 a month, but you can also pay an extra £25, and as it says, you can have it in the registered office. So a little bit less expensive, but still nevertheless 22 times 12 plus 25, it's a significantly greater fee than what accountants charge. So this is the very clever thing that Jonathan does. He understands that people are clueless about price. So we need to manage their expectations. And what he does is when he talks about his registered office service, he mentions how much other people charge for a comparable service. He mentions mailbox, etc. You see, when the client sees that other people are charging £400 for having an address that they can use their registered office, then they should expect to pay at least the same, if not a little bit more, from their accountant. And that's how we charge higher prices. You see, those firms that charge £100 or less for acting as a registered office, the reason they've chosen that number is because, like every other human being, they're clueless about price. They don't know what price to charge. So we look for other things in the marketplace, other established businesses and services, and use that. And then when the client compares one to the other, they see your price as being reasonable. So here's what I would do. If I was offering a registered office service, I would have a fact sheet. I would make sure that I would set the scene in the fact sheet by explaining how much comparable services cost, and I would probably have a screenshot from the Mailboxes, etc. website. I would then set out what your price is. So in Jonathan's case, it's £40 per month. And then what I would do is list all the benefits. What are the benefits of acting as a registered office? For example, you'll deal with all that junk mail that comes through. They don't have to deal with it themselves. It also means that if they are running their business from a personal address, then their personal address, their home address, is no longer on public record. It's your office address that's on public record. So list the benefits. And what you'll find is that clients will understand that when you've shown them what typically they'd pay for other companies to do it. If it's going to cost them £480 to use Mailboxes, etc., then why would they use them when they can use their accountant for the same service? So my advice would be charge a similar price to what other people are charging in the marketplace, draw their attention to it so they see your price as being perfectly reasonable, and then list out all the benefits. I would also, just like Jonathan does, I would quote it as a monthly figure rather than an annual figure, because monthly figures seem so much smaller. So I wouldn't have a price of £480, I'd have a price of £40 per month. And I would let them pay it on monthly direct debit because it makes it easier for their cash flow. After all, £40 a month is not a huge amount out of their cash flow. And it also means your collection's much easier if it's done by direct debit. It also means you've got recurring revenue because they'll just carry on paying that £40 a month every single month. So imagine you've got 100 corporate clients. I don't know how many companies you've got in your client base, but you offer them systematically this service. If half of them say yes, 50, and those 50 agree to pay you £40 per month, then that starts to add up to a nice additional revenue stream. That's an extra 40 times 50, £24,000 additional annual revenue, which will all go straight to your bottom line, minus the very small cost of having the certificates on your wall. Now, if you'd like to turn many more of your services into much more profitable services by pricing more effectively, then I'm running a one-day workshop on the 2nd of December 2014 in Watford, so just outside London, and I'll be spending the day going through my 7-step formula where I'll teach you step by step how to take any service, whether it's acting as registered office, whether it's tax returns, whether it's cash flow forecasting, and I'll teach you a systematic process and all the techniques, the psychology, the systems, the strategies for being able to charge much higher prices and have more people saying yes to your services. So if you want to spend a day with me, then I'll put the details below this video of how you can find out more and book your place. I really hope to see you soon. I look forward to spending a day with you on pricing and helping you build a more profitable, more successful and more enjoyable accounting firm. Bye for now.